A very good morning to everyone. I am Shopurni Paul. I welcome you to the Geetham School of Architecture webinar series 2022 on the topic Successful Career in Architecture, organized by Geetham School of Architecture, Hyderabad for the aspiring students of architecture, their parents and guardians and mentors. The series consists of webinars on every Saturday and Sunday for a few more weeks by renowned practicing architects on various topics. Today's talk is by architect Shamanth Kumar Bhattu, an associate professor at the Geetham School of Architecture, Hyderabad. He is an associate professor with a bachelor's in architecture in 2002 from JNTUC, Hyderabad, and master's in urban planning from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. He is an architect and planner with 20 years of experience in practices in India, which includes collaboration and international firms and architects for various projects. His experience includes working with architect Hafiz Contractor as senior consultant for iconic buildings, AP State Legislative Assembly, High Court building detail of urban design guidelines for Amravati capital city for Amravati government in collaboration with international architects, fosters and partners in London. He has independently managed projects from SD stage to completion, handing over to the facility team. While working with Infosys Limited as regional manager infrastructure for 5 years, he was involved in developing the 450 acres campus with 6.5 megawatt solar power plant, biogas unit from food waste, rainwater harvesting and conservation, and dealt with software developing buildings, master planning, customer care center, innovation labs, restaurants, MLCPs, 464-room hotels facility, 300 cap restaurants, and other utility block. Overall, it constitutes to 3 million square feet. These projects were challenged with stringent timeline and coordination required with various disciplines such as MEP and sustainability consultant, as well as green and smart buildings, facade structure, acoustics, authority approvals, estimates and BOQ as per SSR, tendering process with high-end finishes. An associate architect in SMG design, he has designed. Sorry?
Nothing.
It was.
Okay. An associate architect in SMG design, he has designed the Geetham Hyderabad campus and Kenexa IT building phase 2, Rishikonda, Vizag. His experience in Middle East in developing Al Wab City, Doha, Qatar. Mixed-use development with an area of 125 million square meters, developed a keen interest in handling sustainable buildings from concept to execution stage with focus on whole building design approach, advocating passive design strategies for daylighting, ventilation and water conservation, for energy efficient and smart buildings simultaneously, targeting the green building ratings for building without compromising the architectural intent. He is a lead green design certified by Green Business Certification, IGBC AP, certified by the Indian Green Building Council, GEM certified professional, certified by Ashokem, registered member, Council of Architects India, and registered member of ITPI India. His research interests are climate change and sustainability, thermal comfort, and ventilation stage. Now off to you, sir. Please start with your presentation.
Shamanth, you are on mute.
Yeah. Thank you, Shopurni. It was a nice intro, and good morning, everyone. I think most of our students and faculty. Good morning, everyone. Today I am here to discuss about successful career in architecture. Like this is an innovative program what Geetham is trying to do to educate to educate students and also to aware parents about what exactly happens in architecture. This we've been doing it since 9 webinars. It's the 10th one which I'm in here. So let me start with the mantra. What do we call? What is success? Right. So before that, let me go through the structure of presentation. What I'll be discussing about. What is a successful career, and what do you mean by that success, and why architecture? So this presentation is aimed at two audiences. One is the people, one is the intermediate students who are planning to join architecture, and the second is the students who are already in the architectural stream and what it can take to grow in architecture, right? Then the second part of the program consists of knowing your speaker, the journey as an architect and an urban planner of mine. And what does success to me means? Is it of scale of projects? Journey as an employee from a small residence to capital city. The journey as an independent consultant, the outcome of overall experience and contribution to academics. This is the basic structure of presentation, what I'll be talking about. So to begin with, success. This is a strong adjective word which is used to define people if they are successful. But whenever we are thinking, what is success to us? Is it a temporary one? No one can always be successful or unsuccessful throughout, right? So this we had seen in many instances where people are always successful, people are unsuccessful also in a vicious circle in a life, right? Is it relative? Success cannot be universal. What success means to you may not be the same thing to the other person, right? This is what I was trying to deliberate in the discussion. What does the success mean? As the webinar is also about success in architecture. So I thought, let's begin with success and then understand what is architecture and why architecture. Yeah. So what does this temporary mean? Temporary, is it, how do you measure success? Is it a tape to measure success? Is it like fun? Yeah.
The presentation move అవ్వట్లేదు.
Now?
No, it is actually
stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
I'm also seeing, maybe someone else has to tell me the screen.
Screen visible?
Screen ఒకటే ఉంది. ఒక్కసారి స్టాప్ చేసి షేరింగ్ మళ్ళీ చేయరాదు?
Yes sir, yes sir.
Right.
Is it visible now? Yeah.
No, it is visible now.
So what I was discussing is about success being temporary and success being relative. Like one cannot be success always and unsuccessful throughout. And relative success cannot be a universal thing to measure a person, right? So what do you mean by temporary in terms of success? Do you have a measure to success? How do you measure success? It differs. Like, are we measuring success comparing from apple to oranges? Like the success, what it meant to me is different what a success is to another professional who is going in his career, right? So what does relative in success means? For students, what does success is? Like good marks, admission to renowned institutes, scholarships and medals. This is what a student considers himself as to be successful, right? Then when it comes to young professionals, growing career, handsome package, then good friends, all this constitutes to his success, what he thinks as a success, right? What does what is it to an adult? Good lifestyle, healthy family, beautiful house, luxury items and ample saving defines success to him. And to great people like him, freedom to choose and follow one's path is success to him, right? So this success varies from time to time, person to person, field to field, stream to stream. There is no measure of it. Whatever makes you happy and freedom to choose and follow one's path is what success I do believe also as. So understanding about the success, let us understand what is architecture as a career, right? So all the time, whenever like over past 20 years or 25 years, I felt this architecture has a two faces of coin. One face of the coin is fully glamorous world, like where you see good things coming up. You see in movies like architects are like heroes. They show like they earn money and everything. But the other side of the coin is like a lot of hard work, a lot of passion, dedication, exposure, everything it demands for you to be in forefront and to be successful. So that's the second phase of the coin of architecture. Other than that, if you look into architecture, is not at all as civil engineering. It deals with various streams of engineering, planning and creative skills Like creative in sense, it includes sketching, fine arts, being a visualizer, if you have an interest in photography and others, all constitutes to be an good architect. So do not confuse yourself like architecture is a civil engineering. It's not civil engineering. So what is architecture then, right? An architect is supposed to design for the present with an awareness to the past for a future which is essentially unknown. This quote is from Norman Foster. This impresses me. And when you look in what is architecture all about, it's all about having first is common sense. What we were discussing in the other webinars also, that was quite evident, right? It speaks about the logic. It speaks about economics, engineering, art, public relationship. You need to be an all-rounder other than being creative for you to pursue architecture as a career or to be successful in architecture, right? Why do we need to be like have public relationships to have more of context, right? And technology to support your creative work, engineering to support your creative work so that you have an idea about it. Economics to understand the need of the hour and how do you plan your finances and everything, right? So all these things constitute you to be a good architect. And as it's always been told, architecture is mother of all the fields. Like though it tends to look as a creative stream, but it has all the streams included in it, right? Which is nothing but a perfect amalgamation of all the skills what is required for you to be an architect. So why architect is needed to a society? Society needs a good image of itself. That is the job of the architect, what the great Walter Gropius says, right? Even if you look at from Indus Valley or Egyptian or Roman architecture or Hindu architecture or Islamic architecture or the urban India, it's always the architect who has put up the society's image and how it looks, right? In Indus Valley civilization, it was like more of simple and independent thinking. For an Egyptian, it was more of powerful pharaohs and dictators, gigantic buildings have been built with that dictatorship. In Roman, it was more of mighty creative, which we appreciate till today. And then at the Hindu era, it was a progressive and perfectionist sort of an architecture. Islamic was more of powerful and secretive. Now the urban India is universally chaotic sort of an architecture which is coming up. So it's always society needs a good image of itself. That is the job of the architect, what we tend to do. What's the contribution to our society, right? Now, what career option do you have as an architect, right? Once you do architecture, you have landscape, you have most common jobs, specialized jobs, and other potential jobs and non-traditional jobs also. You can be an artist, you can be a construction manager, you can be a naval architect, right? So this is like you can get into any of the streams. Nothing is limiting you, right? So architecture, how is the journey, right? Early start, as soon as you finish your course, you have an early start, then you embrace your failure. Like there are lots of ups and downs in your career when you start. You tend to learn new things. You may fail sometimes, you learn. Then the moment that learning curve starts, right, you just start cherish the success of it. You get the taste of the success. The taste of the success in sense when your projects get implemented, you feel that you are successful, what it is. Then you learn from a lot of experience what you gain throughout. Then you back to society, you learn from experiences, you demonstrate that experience in a good way to society where your contribution becomes very important to the society in terms of getting the quality and standard of living to the people, to the haves and the have-nots, right? So that's the basic journey of an architect, which is supposed to be. And when it comes to my journey, like I'm very much influenced by this man, producer. I prefer drawing to talking. Drawing is faster and leaves less room for lies. So this I strongly believe in, and let's get into that. What exactly my journey as an architect was. I joined my architecture in 1997, right? The family background. My grandfather was in contractor, and then my father and cousins were all contractors. So basically, I'm from a contractor family where like I never knew like architect would do something. I always thought he civil engineer does the design. It was my elder brother who, as my mentor, have paved path to my architectural journey. Without him, I wouldn't have been into architecture because I was under the impression that civil engineer does everything. There's no architect sort of a thing, right? So from 1997 to 2002, I was a student, more colorful years, more learning outside books and classrooms, unlike other streams, made best friends still closely associated with, felt different as subjects, talks about balance, composition, rhythm, humans, explores at stage of career, right? Then from 2002 to 2005, the reality, what it has come into after college, like it was always a colorful days, what you have in 1997 to 2002. Then you get into practical training. Okay, not a great start. Started with interest to pursue landscape as a career and joined Raj Expedit Associates and worked with him for some time. Ended up doing landscape works around Hyderabad. Enlightenment in that was God lies in details, because there were always details what that office or that era, that time has demanded for. Why you need to be perfectionist was a question always been in my mind, because in every subject has their own specialized people and same specialized streams. So everyone can deal their job. So it was always continuous. Why you need to be an all-rounder, right? Okay, you're doing some good detail. Why you need to be all-rounder, talk to a contractor, design things, go to site. Why you have to do everything? So that question was always there in my mind, right? These are few projects of the timeline, right? Then 2005 to 2007, like I joined Masters in Urban Planning from SPA Delhi. Now, this was the stage, like there were a few questions in last webinar also about doing masters. Like, yes, masters gives you a specialization, but widens the horizon of understanding. Think beyond the site, the larger fabric and complex anatomy of the city as a living organism. It's not only in this thing, if not urban planning, even if you're getting into landscape or interiors, it gives you a bigger picture. And it says, boss, yes, you are a specialized guy. Now you have to talk in detail. You have to understand the course in detail. And then the question of argument comes into your picture. What exactly we are doing. Otherwise, as long as you're in bachelor, you never get that question of how do we aim our career or how do we look at the team. The perspective of looking at things changes a lot, right? Best experience of cultural remix, importance of teamwork, why it is required to learn project management was cleared in SPA Delhi and Masters in Urban Planning. It was a great experience to be associated with that. Then 2007 to 2010, like I joined Mayfair Housing in Mumbai, which was a real estate company, right? More into developer build apartments on TDR based. So that's a different experience, and worked on few SEZs. Then later shifted to Doha, Qatar, an Arab tech, Qatar. This is a contracting firm, right? The ground experience of city development, importance of PMC, international standards, practices in construction. So until 2007 to 2010, when I was in India, still I knew this was the scale of the project. These are the people who are doing it. Suddenly, I had entered into Middle East, and there you see a Pandora, right? It's like all streams have their specialization. Everyone has streamlined work. You are supposed to do what is your work. There are a lot of people who will take care of the project, who work as a team. So that was an eye-opener for me after I get out, right? Get into Qatar. This was the project where like it was a city in a city sort of a project, right? Now 2010 to 2013, I had returned back from Qatar due to some of my family reasons. From 2010 to 2013, with all this exposure and with all enlightenment in my mind, I joined SMG, Srinivas Murthy sir. So from here again, I started from zero to whole, complete growth as an architect to start with, where we started working on the Geetham college. Then I worked with SMG for Geetham project and few other projects. Then later I joined Infosys into a corporate culture, discipline of corporate, high-end services for 500 acres, larger than life projects. Because like you were living and working double the time of what you are expected to be at site. You have to be a client. That was the client role, right? So if you look at my career, I had spanned from consultant to a developer to a contractor, then to a client, then again to a consultant, right? Now, after working on that scale of a project of 450 acres, then like I was going very well in terms of career or whatever you call growth or something, or doing projects, right? But this Amravati has come into my mind, like Vijayawada or Amravati capital city was calling me, because once in lifetime you get a chance for an urban planner to work on a city plan, right? And as me and my wife were both the architects and planners, right, we left everything for that and we moved to Vijayawada to work there. To my luck, I had got associated with architect Hafiz Contractor, who was working on urban design guidelines and high court and assembly building. And my wife was on the other end. She was a client. We both were working on the same project. And this was a dream come true for us. Matlab, we wouldn't have asked anything more than this in terms of money. So this was success for me in terms like growing, learning, quest to know what it happens in a bigger project was always there. Starting from a 250 square yards plot of designing, then going there, right? 2021, a new journey after like Amravati capital city when it was not working, then a new journey working for society in terms of doing few projects, then in terms of contributing to academics, like having interesting stories to tell, feel more inspired than, and feel more inspired when you inspire people, make the world better place by designing someone's dream was the new journey which I have taken into account, right? So now, what is expected through all this journey? What is expected, out of student or intern? What was expected from a junior architect, then the project architect, then you become a chief or a lead architect, and then your proprietary or architect or academician. This was my journey altogether, right? So when you look in detail, it started with a small residence of 200 square yards and gone up to 1573 acres, urban design guidelines, 217 square kilometers city, with the iconic projects of larger than life projects. You got into detail and worked into detail. This was always like, and it's like, I wouldn't have asked anything much more than of these projects, right? So if you look in, like, after these, I was into Geetham, which was 12.6 acres, then into a 450 acres, then sudden jump to 1573 acres. Guys, you might feel, what did he get out of it? No, there's a lot of satisfaction. When you become passionate, right, then these things happen to you, and when these things click into you, right? For me, this is what somewhat success, what I call as growing more and learning and having the quest and having enthusiastic and being always a learner. So this was the thing. Right. So early start of the career, I'll just go through few of my projects which I had worked in. Early start of the career, was very much passionate about architecture, joined landscape architect Raj Expedit, and person with eye to detail, right? Left, right, center, all the details been told, practiced 1.5 years, did parks, right? This was the park which you see in Banjara Hills, Jalgaon Vengalrao Park, right? Then joined Mr. Rao to start with the residence after this one, 2002 to 2005. Worked on few residential projects and then dealt projects independently after some extent. Then when I was with SMG, right, after returning from Middle East, worked on Geetham College, which we are in, right? This is how we have visualized it to be, where you have visual connect from levels to levels. You have landscape as a major what do you call it, design element, where all the planters and everything would make it live, and then you'll have this visual access which connects you horizontally, and there were a lot of vertical connections which were coming into picture. It was initially visualized to be an independent campus with blocks away from it, but space constraint has made us design a single building, right? So this was the Geetham project altogether. Then in the same office, I was working on IT building, Kenexa, which is in Rishikonda, right? These were the two concepts. Now, there's a link from first I started from landscape, then I went to Middle East. Always I found something is guiding me throughout my career. There is some omnipresence which was guiding me all the time. So I never knew, like, I working on Kenexa SEZ for some time would change my career, right? So this was an SEZ project. I had done my master plan for this Kenexa, which had an existing building, and they were planning to develop. And this concept had been approved by it. The moment I had done this, then I don't know, some SEZ thing came into this thing, and Infosys. I joined Infosys SEZ Pocharam campus. Now this was the campus which I started working. Whatever you're seeing is 450. It's not 450 acres. It's 110 acres of the first phase, and I had started working from the second building. First building was partially completed. right? From second building, I was fully involved into it, right? So when you look into this campus, 450 acres, phase 1 was 100 acres, phase 2 was 45 acres, phase 3 is going to start, and with an like reservoirs in the carrier, reservoirs in the site, with lot of renewable sources, where this campus is a net zero campus, right? The scrap yards, recycle of waste, then biogas plants, lot of green initiatives were there, right? So these are the basic things. I'll talk to you about this campus in bit detail in the next slides, right? So this is what Hyderabad or Infosys is known for experimenting, right? We had this first building which has radiant cooling on one side of the building, and other side of the building it was a conventional air conditioning system, right? So what has happened? Now, if you look at what was the heat transfer mode, I've been teaching my students also, right? Water has 3,400 times more heat carrying capacity than air, right? If so, with this as a principle, with this as a possibility, right? We started working on cooling mechanism, which is first of its kind in India, right? A lot of people have come, and Infosys always motivates and inspires people to come and look at the building, understand how it is been done, and to demonstrate, right? So this was first of its kind, where we had experimented, done a radiant cooling slab. Now, whatever red color you are seeing in this, these are radiant pipes, radiant cooling pipes in loops, right? Now, how does this happen? This happens like you would send chilled water from your chiller, right? Water circulates in your slab, in your roof and floor slabs, by managing the fresh air from HUs, your space is conditioned. And what has been observed when you had compared Apple, we are comparing Apple with Apple, right? One end we are comparing with air conditioning, which is a very conventional system. The other end we are comparing the building, which has an innovation in terms of radiant cooling, right? So when you look in radiant cooling performance and the air conditioning performance, standard air conditioning performance, cooling energy consumption was 25% reduction, right? 25% reduction in sense, like in terms of energy cost or in terms of billing, it was 50%. It was more effective, radiant cooling. After that, like this was the mantra which has been set for us, like where we were constantly working and challenging us for a more energy efficient building in terms of cooling loads, in terms of lighting loads, in terms of chiller loads, everything. It was a constant learning. Today we had achieved 45 LPCD. Today we achieved 45 LPD. Then there was another challenge coming tomorrow, not 45, set our standards to 40. Now, again in cat race, how do we do this? Where do we reduce? Where do we reduce the consumption? This was the learning. It was an institute. It was a lab for me to work, where every day there was a new challenge. So when you look in between air conditioning of a conventional building and radiant cooling, it was 50% reduction in terms of energy consumption, what has been seen. Later, there were few developments in terms of radiant cooling was a bit cumbersome. So it has been patented for a radiant panel. Same thing happens in a radiant panel. Then there was another patent which was more aesthetically pleasing in terms from an architect's point of view, with baffles. Radiant baffles were also doing the same thing. So usually you don't find most of our false ceiling areas in any of the ODCs, very less false ceiling areas, exposed ceiling, and you feel very comfortable and more energetic. There was a survey which has been done about thermal comfort, or how do you feel about the place. There was a good report, people working in radiant cooling building, because I myself was sitting there. You feel more active when you are exposed to natural ventilation in terms of natural cooling, right? Then these were the strategies which were followed throughout every building. And as an architect, you're supposed to look at these things during your practice also. This was like simple strategy of lighting, right? What interests me is, like, though you have a light shelf, like we were always experimenting, because our building depth was restricted to 16 meters, where you get light from south side and north side. Beyond 16 to 18 meters, we couldn't do, because you're not getting that 75 to 100 lux, what is desirable in this. So we knew this works, right? But we never stopped at it. We knew this works. What we used to do, like we used to get laser cut panels, like how deep you can penetrate the light, so that we get that flexibility to design the building. Why not 16? Why not 18? So this was a constant research which was going, other than day-to-day schedule of us to do the job. for Infosys, right? So this was the research in itself, where you can see the building. It's all naturally lit from south and north, right? No artificial light sensors were there, right? This is the typical Hyderabad ODC is offshore development center, right? So the one what you are seeing is south facade from where light is coming, and in the next picture below, you see both the north and south facade of it. And this is the facade elevation where you see the shading device extruded out, and in internal part you have a light shelf, and the light bounces back. If you look at the ceiling, how the light bounces onto the ceiling being kept white so that there is a lot of reflection which happens. And at dusk you get around 75 to 100 lux of light. And all these things were being monitored from command centers. People would constantly monitor how my light is performing, why is this consuming more, and then immediately the command center person would call the facilitator there and it gets rectified. So every campus is being monitored. Nothing is left for it to get repaired or something. We would identify where the problem is and instantly it would get clarified. So that's how the system was running, right? And then comes up the building. This is that Mammoth building, around 7 lakh square feet, projects in projects building. This is an employee care center, right? The first 2 floors were all sports, you name it, we have it sort of in place, where you have a bowling alley, snookers, pool, then you have squash courts, badminton court, yoga, meditation, whatever. I have a lot of, every room was a project for me. Every room executing a project or deciding upon things, how to go with the project. Every activity was a project. You had classrooms of 200 capacity classrooms where you get a different technology, merging technology, where your projector merges with 2 screens, a bigger screen. All that time it was new for me. So first 2 floors were of more of classrooms and sports activities. Then level 3, it was 2 restaurants, right? One was like a depending upon the a la carte and buffet sort of a thing. It was a restaurant of 150 capacity, and then you have a podium where I'll show you in the next slides, where you have Hyderabadi style Falaknuma Palace, the long dining thing. We were crazy. We used to design things to make employees happy, because software employees are always under tremendous pressure, and Infosys wants them to be more relaxed for their job, right? And every client, whoever comes up here, wants employees to be comfortable. Like if he is comfortable, then he would do the production. That was the understanding what it has been had, and we would serve for the employees sort of thing and look for their comfort, right? So then from level 4 to 15, it was all rooms. Like it had 464 rooms with single occupancies, double occupancies, and suites. And this was like, it was almost like any other 3-star or 5-star hotel rooms. And then the other 2 floors had special suites, a CEO's cabin and a CEO's office. So at level 12, there was one interesting space, which was a London cafe, which I can show you, which I'll be showing it to you. So what am I trying to say? Even if you look at this 7 lakh square feet building, it's not just a building, it had projects in projects. The grand states, what you are seeing, is also a project. It serves as an amphitheater for you towards the grand path of it, right? So I'll just take you to that tour quickly so that you can know. Now, this is that SDB5 boardroom which has been worked out. So it's never like you finish one SDB5, then you start SDB6. No, every time you had some 6 to 8 lakh square feet to deliver, because there is a stream which is continuously inviting people or training people to recruit, right? And you have a target to deliver seats. It was all on seats. People would train you, and you being an architect at site or you being in an infra, you have to deliver that seat. Seat is nothing but designing the building and developing the building and handing over to facility. So this was an SDB5 boardroom what we have done. Everything is time bound, 90 days, 45 days. It was always in days. This is what is the level 5 CEO's cabin. The challenge was we had to identify like people liked antiques, right? And how do we show them? They like the antiques. Now, what has been done? You can't call a consultant and ask him to do this. Definitely, in 2 days' time, no one will do. We will sit at night, do the 3D for him, and show him everything and design it. Then take the approval. Then he do the execution. So this was that CEO suite, which had This is that level 3 podium which I was talking about, more of an Hyderabad architecture, more of a Falaknama Palace one. This was during the construction. I couldn't pull out the execution fully completed pictures of it. What has been planned is that great hall with a big dining table has been planned here with level 3 at level 3. This was the initial renders of it, and that was the executed part which we are doing it in, right? And this was the London Cafe, what I told about. It all needs to be English, right? If you look at from furniture, from leather to wall color, to the curtains or blinds, to tapestry, what you are seeing, to the tapestry, what you are seeing, it's all a rich and imported one or antique one, right? To get you that feel. But you had a scope to visualize what you want to do, and you had a client to get what you want and make it possible. Everything was possible here. Even if you are trying to sketch something, if you like something, you show it to people, they would encourage you and everything would come into its place. So this was a place where you would design anything. If you look at a design, the swimming pool, right, then it got executed. Nothing. If people like your work, then everything gets executed. Now, the interesting fact of it, like fine, all these projects in terms of interiors, everything going on, but what at a society and what at a sustainable end was Infosys doing? Now, if you see this master plan has 450 acres, you see there are a lot of reservoirs which are going on. From 1 to 14 reservoirs are there, right? You see the rainwater harvesting mechanism, what is being done. These are all reservoirs and lakes around it. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lakes which always stores water. The one which you are seeing here, even in the peak summer, you will find water into it. This was the harvesting mechanism, what it has been done, right? You see, when it rains, it's full of water in reservoirs. So over a period of time, we may become self-sufficient in terms of water also, right? Now, what is the result of this? You, in and around Infosys Pocharam, you dig anywhere, 5 feet, you'll get water, right? So a lot of boreholes, injected boreholes, and a lot of rainwater harvesting. Where does this water go? Groundwater was recharging. So this is one of the interesting thing. What do you like about it? See, this is the reservoir 14. Around 99.3 MLT million liters of water is being stored in these reservoirs. Imagine what is the quantity. A new habitat is coming into picture. This is a man-made reservoir, what we have done, right? Being in all the technical architects and everyone, we had identified the natural streams. Based on the natural streams only, we had built up the reservoirs to hold water. Okay, this water is seen for some time of it, and then it recharges the ground. You will not see anything. All these things were dream come true. Matlab, you go around during rain time, you identify where are these natural streams, then you work it on the plan, then you make it happen, then the management accepts to do that, and you make it happen. This is what is the result, what you see. All these days, we were talking about rainwater harvesting, but this is at a bigger scale where you store around 100 millions of liters every year, and you try to inject into the ground to recharge, right? So this was in terms of rainwater. Then you look at the solar, right? What is an architect's role in the solar power plant, right? Who would feel what is an architect's role in solar power plant? It's very technical. No, being as a client at this role, you were responsible for each and every activity at campus, right? Now 6.5 megawatt requires 30 acres of land. We have done so many exercises for land because sometimes the land is too contoured. Sometimes there was rock where you can't do the array of panels, right? So there were a lot of best use studies being done for finalizing the land for solar only. It requires around 30. This is a 6.6 megawatt solar power plant, 29,000 PV modules generating 12 million kilowatts unit per year. Combination of different PV technologies, different mounting mechanisms. One is the fixed one, the other one is with a tracker. Okay, right. The tracker one is towards southwards, and east and west it tracks and goes as per the sun direction, right? So it was motorized tracking which happens. This was 6.5 megawatts, which requires 30 acres, and with this is how it looks. Right, all it has been green because if any sort of a dust settles on the panel, then the efficiency of it would lose, right? The plant performance was about 80%. and plant load was around 23.7, polycrystalline silicon and CSI thin film technology, right? So, so this was the project, like lot of appreciation and lot of this thing has happened. Like people all over places have come and visited a solar power plant. So what does this have? What does this mean to do? This was, I was feeling very happy and ecstatic in terms of like what your contribution to your project gets so much happiness in you, that what will you compare? Will you call it as a success is again question, right? So this was my journey at Infosys. Every roof has a solar panels for it. Then this was a journey of mine where everything was happening, and I had built around 30 lakh square feet, 3 million square feet in 5 years. A project after project, project after project. It was 5 years. It was, though it was 5 years, I felt like I'd worked for 8 years or 7 years. That was the amount of working which it took. And that, how do I get motivated? Today you work from 8 to 8, right? But what motivates me is like something new is going to happen in the campus. Next day again at 8 o'clock, we used to be there. With me, my colleagues were there, Mr. Ganesh Babu and Amul Kulkarni. With them, I learned a lot from them, and they were the real motivators and mentors who pushed me to break my boundaries all the time, manage stress. Around 80 vendors you need to coordinate day in and day out, right? All the products were imported. It was an SEZ campus. You were responsible to approve a PO, approve a billing to a contractor, right? Supposed to select a contractor, finalize the design. As a client, it's like your project, right? If any of your infra head comes, he will not ask any Tom, Dick and Harry at site. He would ask only you, because it is you who is his client, right? So from consultant to a developer, then to a client, understanding the project in a different perspective, right? Then a dream come true of being in Amravati, capital city, right? This that visual which always makes me feel happy, though it didn't got implemented. But yes, a lot of work has been put up, right? In 5 years term, people have finished. I'm not politically biased with any of the political parties or anything, but as an architect and as a contributor to that city or to that place, and a person who had worked in, I can say in 5 years, 217 square kilometers master plan has been done. It has been notified. 1573 acres urban design guidelines has been done. It has been notified. Two temporary instance, people understood it as a different way. A mini high court and a mini assembly has been done, right? And a lot of projects has been inaugurated. That was the development which was happening in this place. This was like a hot cake instance where like everyone knows us in Vijayawada. World was here. All of my friends whom I met in Delhi or Ahmedabad, or who were settled in Singapore or UK, will come and meet me at Vijayawada. That was the charm this place has. That was the scale of the project which it's been. People call land pooling was a problem. If you look in, this is the greatest land pooling case study, right? 217 square kilometers getting land in today's context is a highly impossible task for anyone to do, right? It's a greenfield city development, though I agree, it's a greenfield city development, but a lot of infrastructure facilities is being laid, roads is being laid, a lot of people been coming, few colleges are operational also, few facilities are operational. So what you are seeing in this image, whenever I come closer to this project, right, my heart burns. So much of effort has been put in this project, so much of specialized people have been working, right? Now let's talk, let us see what it went into this project. Whatever you're seeing is, one is the high court and then the assembly building, and whatever you are seeing straight visual access to assembly and high court was 1573 acres government complex, where I had been involved in doing urban design guidelines for it. I was fortunate, look, after doing masters in urban planning in SP, I never thought I would work on urban design guidelines, right? And working with Hafiz contractor, yes, I used to be in touch with him when I was at Infosys, because I was client end, I was handling all the consultants, let it be Canon or SOM or Hafiz or Edifice or anyone would come to us there at Infosys. Now this was a different frame, and I knew Hafiz before also, he knows me. When we started working here, the Foster Partners was the concept architect and Hafiz was the local architect, right? To represent Hafiz, I was the one as a senior consultant who was taking care of 3 buildings, right? Now, urban design, the journey to this is again a journey for me, the journey which is continuing, still continuing to design a city and aim and right. Overview of the master plan, urban development, density with view of creating unique greens and belts and heart of the city, river park and waterfront to be fully accessible to everyone. It's like people's capital. It's like people's capital. And this capital needs to be live throughout the day, throughout the night. That was the vision which we got from our people of Andhra Pradesh, where we were developing a world-class capital city, right, which was live 24 hours, right? For which reason, a lot of infrastructure activities have been planned. A last mile connectivity. Last mile connectivity is nothing but you take metro, you take waterways or anywhere. Your last mile connectivity from end of the metro or anything, it's all got connected to your home. That was the plan which has been done, right? Urban design guidelines. What exactly we were doing in urban design guidelines? Looking at the FSIs of how do we plan, how do we get that skyline to this city was most important. What sort of sustainable aspects, because you got a chance to work at a newborn capital city and you are aware where we are running through. So this was the time for us to establish a new norms and how it would be monitored, because you can start it from scratch. So a lot of sustainable framework has been done. How each element would go, how you manage it, how do you portray it, how do you save energy. So district cooling were been planned, like a lot of renewable sources have been planned. Few things were made mandate in terms of urban design guidelines, where each resident what is supposed to do to contribute to society, right? There was a central park. This was an interesting exercise, interesting project, right? Where there were no compound walls. It was built to edge concept, built to edge. And these small landscape pockets has been compiled to make a greater landscape between the two developments across, right? It's a 7 square kilometers urban design guidelines, right? We were dealing with FAR, FSI densities to handle, then heights, then sustainability, then about how art in public domain works, and then visual security, or how do you do that security, how do you manage parking. All the guidelines have been framed in detail. This is that building which you're looking in. The focus is on the assembly building, which you are seeing in, right? Net zero and 100% renewable energy building. This is the High Court building. And interesting about High Court is like it took us 2.5 years to 3 years to understand the functional part of the requirements. We've been doing case study all over India, understood what is the requirement in, and we were able to freeze the plan and details of it. So it took us 2.5 years to freeze upon the plan, because once you do something from the case study, you would go and meet the judges. They would give the inputs. The staff would give the inputs. You capture that. Then again, the same process was going on after around 2.5 years. Like everything was freezed, and this is what we were working on in detail. This is a model which has been worked in. Like it is inspired from the stupa form, right? The stupa, Amravati stupa. And whatever you're seeing, these fins, right? These are huge cantilever fins, which would act as a renewable sources. At the same time, it puts all your activities of the port in under one roof. This is around 250 meters by 250 meters, 250 meters by 250 meters building, right? With a basement parking and rainwater harvesting techniques and all these things already there, right? So most part of the day, the building is planned to have naturally ventilated, for which the details have been worked out, right? This is what you're seeing in. The next comes the assembly building, which we were designing it, and which was almost finished. This was a look and feel of the assembly building, and this was the assembly. Though a lot of controversies about Idli Patra or something, like we took it positive, but building this and making its people capital and watching it from the tower, a lift where it is at 250 meters high, seeing the city was a different experience altogether, and making it happen in terms of drawings and details. This was a team appreciations and meetings what to go on. So this was the journey of me as an employee who was working for various companies and getting larger than life experience and doing projects of a bigger scale. Even if I practice, I may gradually or generously grow from a project to project, maybe at a 2x rate. But as an employee, I could jump at an 10x or 20x rate where I could handle a project at a bigger level in a very short span of time. Now, the journey as an independent consultant, like after that, I started practicing my own projects. This was one of the building which I had completed for Infosys. Now, this is the beauty of it. You had worked 5 years at Infosys, right? Left the company, right? For go to Amravati capital city. Then you work as a consultant to it. What more compliment you want, right? This is the building. This is the building which stands at the entry after working for various architects, right, or various people. This is the building which stands right exactly at the entrance, right, which acts as a command center to control all the buildings, right. This was like a happy note for me after working for so much. My signature or my building is standing there. So that's what it is about. This was the interiors of it, the renders of it. And then this is a project for Manjira, what we are doing, Italian themed farmlands, right? This is the clubhouse in a aerial view, what you're looking at. There's an option for the clubhouse, right? These were the renders of the same clubhouse which we are working in, right? We always believe in working an option, because client comes to us expecting that you would do some magic, right? And this is the secret what I learned from architect Hafiz contractor. Whenever he goes, or when I was in Infosys, the best example was he would come and present a project. Sometimes, if Naren one day it happened to be Naren Murthy told Hafiz, this doesn't work. I also heard about this story, right? Then Hafiz, in flight, he has made 6 to 7 options. In next 2 days, he has come to NRN. We call Naren Murthy as NRN. He has come to NRN with 12 options of the same building. What a production! What sort of what you call rebounds it was, and then you're left with no options either to finalize, because out of 12, definitely 3 or 4, a person of that stature, definitely all the options would be good, and client has very few options to select it up. Now you have to select. So working more in scales, like I learned it from Hafiz. So whenever I do a project, I always think about why it can't be like this, why it can be like this. So if you look in this one also, when I'm doing my individual design also, or practice, this is one option which can be a scale, a monumental scale sort of a thing. Then break the scale, work as per the contour, and then completely different work on the theme, how it looks. So this is the secret what I learned from Hafiz. Look at things from a different perspective, and that becomes an option. That was the learning what has been done. And this is the interiors what we are doing for ISB, right? This is an ongoing project which we are doing. It's a founder launch for them. This one is my dream project to come in. This is a hotel in Goa, right? Already a client in Goa is running a hotel, and this is the new one which is going to come up with 60 rooms hotel. And he was more fascinated by the classical architecture, and this was the outcome of his brief, what he had given us. This is how the building looks. It's still in the last stages of its approval. Once it gets approved, I hope this takes off. And this is the residence for a colonel in ECIL, which is ongoing, right? This is a residence for a client in Bangalore, who happens to be Infosys AVP. Right. This is a residence what I'm doing for him in Bangalore. This is an apartment in Chennai, which is ongoing, right? This is a very tiny apartment where you had 4 flats, a duplex flats, right? And this is how it looks and feels. And this is a residence, a private residence for a minister, MLA in Guntur, right? So he had a very different brief altogether. It's not a different brief, but any MLA which would have an office and his residence. So this is how we take up. Then we told him, sir, the ground is important. Like living on ground is so precious, and you wanted to do it as parking. I will design you a house where you use your ground. At the same time, you have a sense of separation between our office and house. No one can enter your house, nor house people can enter your office unless and until you have your permission. So based on that, it's been designed. It's been liked by him, right? I'd entered into turnkeys also. I'd done a turnkey for this hospital in Jetcherla. It's finished. And then my interest was always there in landscape projects. Somehow, this is the park which I had developed in front of my house. It's a government park, right? Luckily, corporation, municipality has the funds and willingness to do, and this is what it could shape up. The same park in design, what I had presented it to them. Right, I see See, like these sort of projects remind me of your contribution to society. Though I don't stay at this place right now, but I get to know that 400 people visit here in mornings and evenings. It's not because the park is great. There is no green space in and around, right? So I took an opportunity to design this space and make it more better, a place for them. So this makes me happy. This makes me happy when you contribute to your society, right? And this is another park which is coming up in ECI. It's almost complete. Maybe next time you get to see this. It was like animal-based theme park. So this theme was been set up by the municipal corporation only. Like this is how it would look. Now this is a very interesting park for me. Like this concept also has been done. Now the concept was like women awareness theme. This was a time when you had the Disha's case in between, and then I'd watched this Mardana movie where like what sort of an atrocities has been happening for a woman or a child. This was too much to take. And then I thought about it. What is that we can do as an architect to convey what women awareness would be? So I thought a lot about it, and then I come up with an idea where I say, why don't we do a park where I would educate my son or my daughter right from the childhood, right? This was the medium for me, like how a musician has a medium to express his sadness or happiness. The same thing for me, everything is drawing. If I'm happy, I can express it on drawing. If I'm sad, if I have to convey something, I can express it on drawing. So the idea was to make a women awareness theme park. How do I make women awareness theme park? Any person who gets his son and his child to this park, I would educate and make them aware that you have to respect girl, not because she's girl, she's equivalent to you. So I had planned the circuits around the park in such a way, like I had motivated the girl child saying that you are no more Abla Nari. There are a lot of people who have done a lot of things. Savitri Phule or else lot of sportsmen, a lot of motivational walks has been taken up there for them to motivate that woman is a stronger power and a multitasker to do, right? Then the circuit goes on around and says what all women can do, how do we defend ourselves, what were the self-defensive tricks. This was all in parks what I'm talking about, between age group about 10 to 12 years or 15 years, where children tend to see and tend to learn self-use, self-defensive tips. This is what you're seeing, right? This is the motivational walk which happens. And then in the same park, you would have a tour of child abuse where you convey to the child what is good touch and bad touch. Then as my son is also there, or my son and daughter both are walking in, so he knows what is the woman power and where they are going. At the same time, I would make aware of my son, boss, if you are still not following after so much educating, that was the result of the Disha case, what it is there, the final judgment. So when you are working, the idea was when you are walking in a park, make continuously understand the girl child that you are a stronger person, and make the boy child understand she is not less than anyone, and complete the circuit and come out of it. The landscape was a medium to do it, right? So this was the idea which is conveyed to it, right? So a woman celebration ke liye woman, an amphitheater has been planned, a lot of activities is planned. Now, after doing so much, does it stop you from designing a graveyard, right? At my house, my people were against designing that, but I said, why not give a try, right? What it is all about. So when I studied, when people had asked me to design a graveyard, right? The idea was for me, the immediate idea was the vicious circle of life. Like anything you can express in architecture, you can express your ideas, you can express your emotions, you can express your way of looking life, right? Now when I have to design a graveyard, a concept, I just explained the concept. The concept was very interesting in terms you have a vicious circle of life, right? Where you go from Balyam, Brahmacharyam, Grihastham, Vanaprastham, and Sannyasam. This is that circle, right? All the elements were circular, right? When you are born, you always come up with an open palm, right? Right? When you not an open palm, with a closed fist, and then when you die, you come with an open palm. So with this as thing, if you look in my funeral pyres are being designed as an open palm, right? And all the entries, like when you die, it's only about 4 people who give you that kanda. So where the pergolas has been designed as people who carry you, right? And then the open palm would become a funeral spire, and then the central portion, though it acts as a ventilation, that is the connect between Atma and Paramatma. So this was like, okay, it was like more of mythological related or the essence of life. But yes, still you can do this one. And this has been liked by many people. And the municipality has multiplied same sort of an architecture to other places also. So with this, what am I trying to say? For me, designing a project from a 250 square yards plot or a graveyard doesn't make any difference. Yes, the scale matters, but it's all that passion which gets you into picture. If you are passionate about, you can do a number of things doing that. The same thing has been told by the other speakers also in the other webinars. Now what has happened? Joined the academics, felt now this time for me to contribute in terms of learning, right? The result of good all-round experience and motivating students. This was the interesting thing why I'm here, why am I teaching? Look, you know, I left my family for 2 years and was just teaching, right? I have my projects in hand, but I felt because when I joined my college, there were no faculty around and we were like clueless what to go next. And that learning which I didn't learn in college had to learn in hard way when I get out. The 5 years of this learning was being compensated by my career's 5 years. Why not I contribute in delivering it to students so that their time saves and it motivates you. When you become a mentor to someone, it really makes you feel that happiness, right? So this was a smaller exercise which we have done. Thanks to Mukteshwar who got up this idea of summer internship program. We had a summer internship program just for a month. We realized why should we waste students 2 months time? Why don't we start? And thanks to our director who has immediately agreed and asked us to go ahead, right? So then we started in 1 month's time. This is what I could do. This is what we were figuring out and footover bridge. This is a live project for Geetam, right? Geetam wanted a footover bridge from hostel to academic block, connecting hostel and academic block. Now, who had worked on these projects are the summer internship students who are from 8th semester, Amulya, Vanilla, and Sindhu, right? These are the 3 students who had worked out on this project. Now, let me take you into the project. This was a section we were figuring out so that today's SOB should not be tomorrow's demolished SOB. So we were looking in the various scenarios when your road widens to 100 feet, what will happen even if I build today? That was one exercise which has been done. These are the sketches by the students, like how do they visualize what a footover bridge means to them, because they are the real users and they know what they want when it is a footover bridge. This was the connectivity what we were looking at from boys hostel and from girls hostel to the academic block. This was the visualization of the students of 8th semester who visualized it to have a fabric roof and a ramp to get in and walk in, have that experience where it becomes a celebration zone for students when they are walking on this ramp. You should not feel tired of going on the ramp. You should feel like, yes, I'm motivated to charge up to go on the ramp and get connected. And why Geetam wanted is a sense of security, safety for the students from academic block to hostel block. This was being maintained. This is a look and feel of the footover bridge which has been planned. This is another option what has been planned. I was surprised to look at the ideas of being renewable also, like in terms of roofing. What they had planned is like having the solar panels and getting that light and sound drama into picture. This is the final outcome of the footover bridge. How does it look? How does it happen? These are the options prepared by students. So as a faculty, I feel very much passionate in terms of teaching, and when student responds back, that's a different thing. So I don't know whether you call this a success or not, but this is what it makes me happy when to go in a complicated journey, to go in a challenging journey where you tend to learn things and motivate things and do contribute to society. Okay, that's it for now. Wish you lots of success for your journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shamanth. Actually, like I think we should have done it a long time back. The potential of every teacher that we have, even our students get to know, and the projects that you have handled, the way you have handled them, incredible. And I'm sure all the students would get inspired seeing the projects that you have handled. And definitely success is different from person to person, the way he pursues. And so coming from a background of designing a capital, where one of the rarest chances any architect, urban planner can get, and then confine yourself to a small staff room to teach students. Yes. So dramatic and drastic, isn't it? But the way you have handled that transition, that's great. And I'm sure everyone got inspired by this session. And why is it important, or what is it important to do a post-graduation study, and how to actually build up the career? It's not just making money the day you graduate, right? But actually trying to understand what is happening in the field, right? What is the happening in the where we land. That's what is very, very important. And how, when I am there, how I navigate, right, and reach where I want, right? Isn't it? It's not that if someone is doing something and you want to imitate him, that is not right. So everyone, they should have their own path. And very great presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And the effort put by our teachers, they are all inspiring. So maybe students get motivated, isn't it? Yeah, not only just about the classwork or attending the studio college, right? But definitely in life, what to do. I'm very sure. Yeah. Okay, questions? Any questions? I think many should have. Okay, so I made unmuting available so everyone can. Yeah, Muktesh, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Shamanth, it is definitely inspiring. I'm witnessing your journey right from the BR till today. So I can say the students, particularly it's an inspirational journey of Shamanth. He did not leave any kind of opportunity, any small or big opportunity. He used it for the career. And I have seen him, I can say he's restless. Most of the time he's restless, because that is only passion driving. It's not just money. If you want mint money, there are many ways. But if your passion drives, then you will enjoy your work. And today he is in Geetham, is definitely is using a kind of opportunity, and it should be like students are inspiring, and so getting inspiration from his work or the practice, whatever he learned, the knowledge. So if you see it, he worked with Infosys, he worked with one of the famous architects of his contractor, and one of the famous work of his Amravati capital city. Still is available because his teaching is his passion, and while teaching is not just leaving. And it is very tough. It is very tough to balance practice and teaching. It's very tough because the time availability of time is very tough. So, but thank you, Shamanth. Thank you for your presentation. It's definitely inspirational. Okay, and we wish you all the best for your proposed and future projects.
Thank you very much.
Yes, students, it is your teacher, so you don't have to worry, isn't it? Every time we are asking you to have questions for your presenter. Now at least today we have our teacher, so don't worry and shoot your questions.
Yeah, we are in-house. And we are for you. So yesterday it was an outside, like other architect who was there, but at least this time, if you have anything, we can always discuss.
No, questions actually give you some better direction.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah, and
It's
when
not
you ask
questions,
a
more
question,
of discussion which has to be
and when
encouraged
you
between us.
ask a question, it actually inspires the person who is answering. Also. Is it?
Right.
He has to.
Are the
he has
students
to-
allowed to unmute themselves, sir, directly?
Yeah. Everyone is allowed to unmute themselves.
Or
Shamanth,
else
in
if
this
somebody finds
context,
it difficult,
Shamanth, in this, yeah.
they can put their questions in the chat box.
Okay. In this context, it's a question to for all the faculty, but at the same time, I'm just since the Shamanth is today's speaker, I'm asking to Shamanth only today. What is the message that you want to give to your Geetam students out of your you have 2 years of experience. You have seen all kind of batches, including the first year to the 2018, whom you are coordinating for the PT as well. What is the message? It's a short message that you want to give them.
See, it is like we also passed the age where they are now. Everything, whatever we talk about, they feel the same what we felt that day. But now when I see PT practical training students reverting back and saying, like the other day, 2 or 3 students had called me and told me, ki, your effort on us didn't got waste in terms like ki, there are students in the office from other colleges also, but our students have been preferred more to give more work because they're able to connect and align with the things, right? And they have since they have called me up and said that makes me happy. And when it comes to Geetam students, the only thing what I see they get very tired of things, because the journey which it gets, they are passionate and enthusiastic. But in today's context, like what sort of an energy levels we have, the travel tires them. Second thing is very, students ka aisa hai, they want immediate results is what I could see. Immediate results. ऐसा नहीं, yesterday also like Amrita Madan, what she has told, कि you need to try out options and leave the option when you complete it fully. But that never happens. Like we want to design now and we want to build it tomorrow, sort of a thing. That hard work sort of a thing, maybe that gets lost because of the journey or because of the I really didn't understood that actually. Why
No, actually, the last 2 years also, no, the COVID, it got like it affected very badly. Yeah.
No, otherwise, when I talk to them individually, everyone has their own specialty. Everyone. When I done my mentoring course, everyone was awesome. I could connect to people. They have their own interests and they can do better, right? People who doesn't talk also has so much to say and so much to do. With paper, someone has an art of with paper they can do models full models with paper. Someone I connected with the 2019 batch also. I know a lot of talent exists there, but I know we need to just try out different ways to get them out. Maybe they start realizing now it comes out. But mostly everyone is like unique in terms of their own thinking process. But like when we did that 82, the class was so active. Though it was online mode, sir. The class was so active. It's only the point of time and it's how we mentor them or motivate them. The result is back. So students are always good in my point of view.
And we are also be trying everything. So we tried 4 days a week also. We gave 1 day online classes. So our effort is also there. Let's see. Definitely.
Yes,
I'm sure. Actually, our expectations are little higher than all the other institutions, and we are trying to achieve that. And definitely, it will take some time. Yeah, it will give results.
No, students are good. They are doing it very well. Very well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, questions from students.
No questions.
Actually,
Class.
Don't treat it like a class, students. It's just it can be any general doubt. It's not like a technical doubt. So you can talk, you can interact, you can get any clarification. It's an open forum.
Okay, I will ask the students a question. All right. So Shamanth in their Pocharang campus, they designed a south-facing facade with a
shading device.
Light. What was that?
Light shelf. Light shelf in the
light
interior
shelf.
part of.
Yeah, light shelf. So can someone tell me more about that? What you have understood? Any one of you? Harshita, Himanshu, Satvika, Nadashri. Yeah, Nadashri, all right. But 2019 batch, anyone?
I think Nadashri can only answer this.
Tejasvi,
Tejasvi also.
yeah, 2020. Yeah, Tejasvi.
Yes, the building depth was around 15 to 20 meters. So for the light to pass on, the shading devices was very much important. So they designed it in such a way that from the top and bottom both ways the light hits the inside space, and they also created reflecting roofs so that
They
will
can actually have a whole window, no, top to bottom. Why a window with chajja, and above the chajja, why a window? Why again?
so that the light will not directly hit the people working there, like that changes the angle of reflection.
The chajja for the window is basically to cut down direct sunlight entering the interiors, and then the chajja surface, the top of the chajja surface, no, it is used as a reflecting surface so that no light gets reflected into the building ceiling, to the ceiling, and then so that way that this is one good effort in tropical climate where you should cut the heat, sun heat, and then just allow the light. So reflected light, no, there is not at all heat that comes into the building. So that is the reason we use that light shelf. The very good concept, and actually right now, no, people are experimenting with light tubes also.
Correct.
So internal reflection in the tube itself happens, and the tube one end is open to sun, so the other end. So there are very successful stories in these light tubes also.
This is the beauty of a series. Even though we are, inviting guest speakers, we have introduced in this year series the fellow faculty and colleagues, because we sit side by side and a lot of us doesn't know like what is the strength we carry. So Shamanth's presentation gives a very detailed coverage of all his experiences all through these 20 years, and everyone should take the advantage and his support whenever is required. Likewise, most of our colleagues, our faculties like Soparne ma'ams, everyone carries certain experience and knowledge. So all together we can contribute a lot. Like this presentation especially is very good. Thank you for preparing very intrinsic and detailed presentations, Shamanth garu.
Very detailed.
Yesterday also I have seen your, it's very difficult once somebody asks to, present in such a period. So both, all I observed, like most of us are doing that. Thank you very much for supporting and this presentation.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was always good to connect with people.
Yes, Saparni?
Yeah.
Yeah, formal vote of thanks. You are on mute.
Before, I think it's on mute. It's on mute. One.
Yeah.
Sunil sir, I think on this occasion, let us start some kind of social responsibility projects in and around Geetham very soon, anytime, whatever we find. It's so that
No,
the
actually, I was previously discussing with one of our faculties that we should do a presentation to our faculty in Geetham, all the 300 faculties. We should tell her what we do, tell them, so that many of them are doing their homes. Like we have our sports director, Mr. Chaudhary, he wants to build a home. So we just gave him a proposal. So, but if we can formally make a presentation, show the skill set, I think we'll add value to the institute.
Yes, sir.
like social responsibility for the institute towards the institute. We can give them
Okay.
consultancy.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yes, sir. This we can request to initiate from VDC side, sir. They will collaborate. They will actually combine everybody, and they will make us to speak, present our experience and things, so that most of the other department faculty and other people also can connect easily with their ideas. They will come up with lot of proposals. VDC is
Actually-
working on so many proposals.
Hmm.
So they may also get some idea. If we involve VDC and we make them as a core people to coordinate, it will really help.
We'll do that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Over to Saupurni, madam.
You are on mute, Soparni. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Shaman sir, once again for
Thank
the
you.
inspiring thoughts on the subject and presentation from your live projects. And I would like to express my appreciation to all the participants and their parents, and as well as the faculty for taking out time from their busy schedules on a weekend. On behalf of Geetham School of Architecture, I would like to close my remarks and officially announce the end of today's webinar. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you all.